Hi, so I thought we'd do a little video on how we've been testing the cables to show you that this cable, we're going to get good life out of this cable. And we made a bunch of short cables, a foot long, with exactly the same ends on them that we would see on the dive light. And what we've done is we've set up the milling machine to cycle test them. So I'm going to turn the milling machine on now and show you what the test does. You can see it bends the cable fairly severely and then goes round to the top. And actually, as it's doing this, it's rotating 3.6 degrees every cycle so that it keeps going round. Now, we set this up to do 10,000 cycles and we left it over the weekend and it's finished. The testing was great. And this, switch that off so you can hear me. So this is the cable that we did 10,000 cycles on. Get the camera to zoom in here. There's the joint right there. So it's basically, we couldn't see any degradation in the cable or the joint. So we're going to go over here and test it a little more thoroughly and see whether anything happened. So the first test we did was to see whether electrically the cable was still intact, to see whether the conductors had been damaged. So to do this, we hooked it up to a power supply and actually our battery tester. So it's now hooked up through the white conductor. I'm going to set this thing up really quick to run. I'm going to put 17 amps through this cable right now. So we've got 17 amps going through the cable, and I'm not going to do it all now, but basically we checked the voltage drop across this conductor and compared it to brand new cables and found there was zero difference. So the conclusion of this test was that after 10,000 cycles the cable was still behaving like a brand new cable electrically. So then the next test that we did was to pressure test it. And as you've seen in the previous videos, the cable is designed to be water blocked. So even if you damage the outer sheath, the cable is still watertight. So as you can see here, I've removed about an inch of the cable sheath. So we've got a pressure tester right here, a pressure pot hooked up to a feed supply, and this is designed specifically for our cables, so I can plug those guys in here. Put this together. Okay, so I'm going to pressurize the one side of the connector with air. What I'm going to do is these two little pockets right here, I'm going to cover these with water for the purposes of this test. So if there's any leak of air from inside the pressure chamber, we're going to be able to see it bubbling out around here. So check we're all tight. I'm now going to pressurize the chamber with about so we are 260 psi, which is about 600 feet, and if you look over here, Dave, can we get this on the camera? I'm not sure whether you can see this, but there are no bubbles coming out of the cable. So, that's a little insight into how we've been testing the cable to make sure you get a good long life out of it, and it's waterproof, even if you damage the outer sheath.